This is Ruth Schmuff from Bedecked and Bedazzled, and today we're going to talk about eyelets. Eyelets have been around since forever. It's really nothing exotic and new, but there are a couple of tricks to making your eyelets super pretty. The most important thing is the use of a laying tool. So this is a porcupine quill laying tool, which we sell at the shop. It's by Love You More, and it's one of my favorites. So we're going to start with that. We're going to do an irregular eyelet in this oval. And the first thing that we want to do is make a center hole. So we're going to use our laying tool and we're going to poke a hole. I realize there's already a hole in the canvas, but we are going to poke a sizable hole. And when I say poke a hole, I'm not kidding. I really do mean poke a hole. So I'm just taking my laying tool, and as you can see, I'm sort of wiggling it left, right, and turning it so that we enlarge the center hole of that shape. It's a big hole. I'm not kidding. So in this case, we're using 2-ply of needlepoint ink silk, and we're going to start out with a little tiny pinhead stitch underneath of our stitching. And there's a whole nother video on this if you care to watch it. But it's basically up at A, down at B, up at C, and back down at B. Now, I positioned this in this example straight up at 12 o'clock because I know we're going to cover it, and that's important. Pinhead stitches are usually you are able to cover them with your stitching. That doesn't always work for me because I stitch so light. In this case, it will. So, to work an eyelet, our stitches come up on the outside of the painted shape, and we are using a laying tool, and they're going to go down in the center. So we're going to start out and we're going to put in the 12 o'clock stitch, the 3 o'clock stitch, always coming up on the outside of the painted area and going down in the center. And like I said, this is 2-ply needlepoint ink silk, and I'm laying each stitch. Now we're going to do our 9 o'clock stitch. This is going to set the framework for the eyelet. So now once we have basically north, south, east, and west in position, we're going to divide each space that we have here in half. Again, come up at the outside of the shape, down in the center. With each stitch, we're dividing the section that we're working on in half. If you do this, what happens is everything is symmetrical. You get a nice, pretty, smooth curve. As you're working, you want to work to keep that center hole open, because the more open the center hole of your eyelet is, the prettier it is. Okay, so we've gone around twice now. Now we're going to divide each of these shapes in half again. And you're kind of winging it because this is an irregular eyelet. Where those stitches go. But you've got nice balance, nice movement. And at any point that you want, if you start to see that that center hole is filling up with thread, you can open it up again and just take your laying tool, go back down in the hole, twisting it, and enlarge that center hole, and then get back to stitching. So don't be afraid to actually poke a big hole in the canvas. Like I said, the larger that hole is, the prettier your eyelets will be. So just keep going around, filling things in until you have the coverage that you want. In some cases, you will use every hole around the outside of the circle or the oval. In other cases, you may not. It just depends on the amount of coverage that you want. But if you always start with north, south, east, west, and then start dividing each area, your 4/4 in half to make eighths, then divide each eighth of a section in half again, you will get a very pretty eyelet when you're done. So hopefully this will help you execute eyelets that you like. So see you soon. Bye.